Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the microphone has been fixed. Sorry if I sound a little breathy. I have had a multitude of clusters happen today, but thanks to Zemi Games Genius, we seem to fix the problem, and now I have record number speeds. There should be no botting. It should be a fun show. I'll be lucky to get 10 people in the chat, to be honest with you. I missed 2 super chats, which I have to go in and look at.
You got them right in your private chat.
Oh, excellent. Thank you so much for that. Of course, Zemi, again, this is the cog that keeps this show rolling. It's certainly not the man behind the microphone. It's certainly everyone behind the scenes. So, look, first of all, I want to wait for everyone to come back. We got, oh my God, I can't believe we got 75 people here. I'm very surprised. I want to apologize for the extreme technical issues. Thanks to Zemi's genius. I think we figured it out, because I sound good and I'm getting upload speeds and download speeds of incredible numbers. So whatever it was that was the problem, we seem to have addressed it. Listen, again, we talked about to open up the show, which is deleted. So we're not going to get into the gears. That's never going to be seen again. Unfortunately, it just is what it was. No one could hear me. It was just a nightmare. But we do have breaking news, and I'm not sure who brought it to the attention. I think it was I Dizzy. You brought this up. Folks, big news happening during a cluster of today's show. Cyberpunk 2077 has officially been delayed by CD Projekt Red. And I gotta tell you, I don't know if this is a sigh of relief, because at least now we can enjoy Valhalla, or is this a disappointment that we have to wait until December 10th? Now, here's the question. December 10th is what they said, which really is not that far of a difference, to be honest with you, considering they said it went gold. So my question is it possible to get another delay come closer to December? Zemi, I want to go to you first on this. Look, this is disappointing news. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not that broken up about it, and I'm going to tell you why. Spider-Man for the PlayStation 5, Assassin's Creed Valhalla for the Series X, Watch Dogs for the Series X, and a ton of other games that are just big open world that is going to literally eat up our lives. Like I'm still trying to figure out how I can bang out 5 live shows that week and still enjoy these consoles. Are you broken up about this devastating news, or are you relieved?
I'm not relieved and I'm not broken up. Did I want to play Cyberpunk on the 19th? Absolutely, I wanted to play Cyberpunk on the 19th. But I've said this multiple times. A lot of us have said this multiple times. If a developer needs more time, give that developer time. Right?
Exactly.
I don't want them releasing a product to market that is just, below their standards. And I don't think it's fair to them as a company. And I definitely don't think it's fair to us as consumers. So I would rather have the delay and get a higher quality game because of it. I know we all want to play Cyberpunk. I know it is, the game of the year for a lot of people. And if it releases on December 10th, would it still be eligible for game of the year?
Maybe See, that's right the thing. I don't know.
It will be for next year.
For next year.
For next year, yeah.
For next year, yeah. But no, I mean, it definitely is, disappointing news for a lot of people. For me, it's, relatively disappointing, but, the same way I feel about Halo is the same way I feel about this game. If you need more time, take the time. And, we recently heard, the story that, crunch is a thing at CD Projekt Red. However, it seems that the way that CD Projekt Red is treating crunch and the way that certain studios like Naughty Dog are, treating crunch are completely different things. But, from that point of view, it's great to, give these developers that extra time as well. So they're not, having to pull in 7 days a week rather than just maybe the 6. But yeah, I mean, I would say ultimately this is good news rather than bad news. Because, it's really going to be a win-win for everyone. We're going to get a better game, and, developers are going to, still have some hair in their head that they didn't have to rip out,
Yeah. I mean, look, here's the thing. I don't know how, what, look, I'm not a developer, right? Like, I don't know what happened between we are going gold. We're gold. They announced it. We're gold to whatever issues. I'm wondering if the technical issues behind what's going on has something to do with the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Not so much the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X and S, and of course PC. We have heard before that there were some difficulties getting the frame rate not to be clipping or chugging along.
Sure.
I mean, it's
Well, and we have to remember that, Cyberpunk had been developed for years and years and years, right? And, it wasn't, initially started for, these new consoles, and these new consoles carry with them a lot of hardware, a lot of improvements, and a lot more ways that I would imagine the game could kind of get messed up. So, it's not, unreasonable to say or to think that, it is the new consoles that are potentially causing this issue.
Look, it's going to be interesting to try and figure out and see where the issues is, and whether or not this actually launches on the 10th, because I think we were all set for the 19th, and now we hear this. 4 weeks away from launch. Could we potentially get another delay? Flap, let's get your opinion on this. Now, this is going to come as a shock to many. I think it's going to come as a tremendous disappointment for some, because there are some people like myself who had the collector's edition, pre-ordered, ready to go. Totally looking forward to this game. It's a game that I think people are going to be playing for an extended period of time. If it's anything as big as The Witcher, and we heard that it is actually bigger than The Witcher 3, which is really hard to put into thought. It is people may have just had this game on their calendar, and it's the only thing they wanted to play on their new console come November, and now that's not going to happen. For you, are you disappointed? But more importantly, do you see an additional delay?
Well, I mean, it's obviously been delayed a few times up until this point anyway. So one extra delay wasn't a massive surprise. I guess, but like you said, the fact that they said they'd gone gold and now there's a delay is a surprise. The other thing I'm a little bit surprised about is the fact that it's only 3 weeks. And a bit like yourself, Boom, I'm no game dev, but what the hell's happened between going gold and now for them? Because 3 weeks, I don't know what they can do in 3 weeks. That doesn't seem like a very long at all for them to sort out whatever the problem is, because as we know, lots of games launch and they kind of get fixed after the launch. So I'm just hoping this isn't a Stadia issue, because Stadia was due to launch on the same day as well. I'm guessing that launch has been pushed back as well, but yeah, it's just interesting to know what the delay is all about. But to answer your question, no, personally I'm not massively disappointed, because most people I've been talking to on Twitter were going to wait for the Series X patch or Series S patch anyway, and that wasn't coming on launch day. So for me, I was always going to wait a little bit until that patch launched anyway and get the full-blown experience of it. So I'm not massively disappointed. I am happy that it's still launching before holiday or Christmas. I think that's still a good thing. They're obviously still going to catch that target audience there. But yeah, it is disappointing. And anyone that did want to play it, obviously on the current generation console, or wasn't that fussed about waiting for the next gen patch, yeah, they're going to be disappointed. But it is 3 weeks. It's not 3 months. It could have been a lot worse, couldn't it? So yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm intrigued to know why it's only a 3 week delay and what they're going to do in those 3 weeks.
Yeah, and you know what? I kind of want to go to Rosie Brown on this. Rosie, listen, Flap brings up a great point. When you say we're delaying the game across a multitude of consoles, which includes PC, the Xbox Series X, the Xbox One X, the PS4, PS5, right? He brings up a point of, well, what could you actually do in 3 weeks? You see, I have a strange suspicion, and again, I said this before. I thought that, and and of course I was made out to be a liar. I thought that 2 out of the 3 big games were going to be delayed until next year: Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Call of Duty, and of course now Cyberpunk. Those are the 3 big ones for the remainder of the year. I thought we were going to get 2 out of the 3 delayed due to, I mean, obviously, listen, folks, this is the world that we're living in is scary, and COVID is a real thing. As a matter of fact, it's such a thing that it's coming back, and people are terrified to go out, and I don't blame them. So I would imagine that the old way of making games is just not feasible, and it may not be feasible for quite some time. So delays they're going to happen. I think that 2021 potentially could be a very light year because of all the games delayed. What are your thoughts on this particular delay? Are you disappointed, or are you okay with it simply because now something like Assassin's Creed Valhalla or Watch Dogs or Spider-Man Miles Morales can get your full attention?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I'm definitely like everybody else. It's definitely. I was hoping to play that, the week after I got my the new Xbox Series X there, and I was definitely hoping to jump into that. But like I believe it was this guy from Nintendo, Miyamoto, said, what was it, something like a bad game is, or a delayed game is good or something like that, but a bad game lasts forever, something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and and I see. I was just checking out the tweet here, and they're sort of saying the same thing. Where they're definitely they want to make a game that we'll all fall in love with. I mean, I'm pretty sure all of us have already fallen in love with this game. For me, it was definitely my most hyped game for sure. Like for next gen, I was definitely looking forward to playing that. It definitely sucks, that we have to wait a couple more weeks, but honestly, if it means that it's those extra more time for them to work out the kinks, like I said earlier about the Stadia, maybe is it me with the Stadia? Who knows? Like, I don't want to blame one thing, but I'm pretty sure that maybe a good thing might come out of the waiting, right? Like, so I think maybe what could be happening is that maybe they're working on that next gen patch, because before what was supposed to happen is that Cyberpunk was just going to launch on the next gen consoles and it'll just use like the regular faster loading times, nothing really major, right? But and then we are supposed to get like a next gen upgrade after that, where we would get like the ray tracing and better resolution, the textures and stuff like that. So I'm hoping like the the optimist in me is hoping that we'll get, maybe, who knows, maybe this is what this whole 3 weeks that they're just gonna just work in a couple little next gen upgrade there. If not, I'm still cool with it. I definitely, for me, I guess now for in a couple of weeks, like I said, we're about 4 weeks out there, or 3 weeks actually, yeah, 3 weeks out for the next gen. So, yeah, I mean, this definitely for me, because I was actually contemplating between getting like a game like Watch Dogs, because it was very similar. Like, well, it's sort of similar to Cyberpunk. It's not exactly the same, but it's sort of the same. Like, it's cyberpunky, or it's like a futuristic game. And yeah, so for me, I was on the fence. I was like, I don't know if I'll get that, because 3 weeks later or 2 weeks later, I'll just be playing Cyberpunk for for who knows how long, right? But like, I think this is I definitely gonna make this a good thing, for me, because yeah, this way I could actually play like Assassin's Creed Valhalla. That was the same thing. And I'm like, I don't know if I can handle like 3 open world games at once. That's a lot. Like, it's a lot to go with. So for me, I think this is definitely opens up a big spot in everyone's calendars. I feel bad for everyone too. I've seen people, in the chat saying that they booked off vacation for this, and yeah. So definitely, I think as there was a great music artist, Tom Petty, and the Heartbreakers, who said, "Waiting is the hardest part." So,
well, look, again, it's disappointing, and I think that you're right. I do know several people that put in for vacation, not only the first week of the launch of the consoles, but the second week, so they can actually enjoy their consoles. And circled in that and penciled in their calendars was Cyberpunk. I think a lot of people are going to be disappointed, but like Zemi said, what would you rather have? Would you rather have this game come out and just be a complete bomb? No, you don't want to remember Cyberpunk for it, needing multitude of patches. You're going to want to remember Cyberpunk because, my God, it's the greatest game I personally ever played. And I hope that is going to be the case. Let's bring iDizzy in on the conversation. Now, I know that you behind the scenes, while your mic is muted, you're probably on the horn with your writers. As we speak, to not only, talk more about the story, because obviously lordsofgaming.net is probably one of my favorite places to get news, iDizzy. But for you, first of all, are you surprised by this delay? Because we know CD Projekt Red, there's no hair on their tongue. If they want to delay because they want to put out a perfect product, they'll just delay it. This game has been delayed a ridiculous amount of times, and you know what? That's okay if it's going to be a great game, and I think it's going to be. But for you, does this kind of relieve the pressure of trying to figure out what game you're going to play on your new hardware?
Actually, yeah, it does, because, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news for everybody here, but I was really looking forward to the medium, and now that December 10th, they wanted to move to December 10th, I think that we're going to see the medium get delayed. So this, for me personally, this is what I'm disappointed about. But for Cyberpunk and people who want to play the game, I mean, more optimization. You can't ask for more out of them than what they're doing for you, making sure that everything is working. I wasn't going to touch the game until, the Series X, all of that was going to be available. That way I could play it at its full potential. But now that it's moved here, and here's what worries me, because we're talking about, could there be another delay? I have a strong feeling that Team Blooper is going to say, I don't think that we want to go head to head with, Cyberpunk, because that was an open day for them. I think Immortal Phoenix Rising was the week prior. It was pretty much a clean slate for them to get the publicity that they want, and I was really looking forward to that, but I can't see them going ahead. So now my concern is, if they get another delay, I hope it's not after the medium gets delayed, because I don't want this to be like a cat and mouse where they keep pushing back because another game. That's just me though. But for Cyberpunk and for everybody excited to play Cyberpunk, this is probably for the better. Hopefully they get their timeline correct, because if there's another delay, I think that they need to stop trying to be nice about it and say, hey, we actually need more time.
Right.
Because the little bites you get here and there, and you just get another delay after another delay, you start to get that Duke Nukem Forever syndrome at that point, and you're like,
oh no, not Duke Nukem Forever.
It's just like, come on, take the time.
I got a question for you.
A little bit.
iDizzy, before I let you go, and before I get to Shandi on this, is there a chance? And again, it's a small chance, because we know Bloober Team has already said that the medium has gone gold. We got that confirmed from them. Could we see a potential move up?
That's actually something I've just been discussing with some folks. I hope that that's the case because of this move. I think that it would fare better. Look, let's be honest with everybody. If CD Projekt Red or Rockstar Games drops a game, you move.
Pretty much, indeed.
It doesn't matter if you're Call of Duty. It doesn't matter if you're NBA 2K. You move, because the attention is not going to be on your game. And that's what you want, especially for a new IP like this. I think that they should move up if this is the case. If that's what ends up happening, I think that they would fare much better against the games prior to. Even if they moved it up a week, I would rather see them go to head with, Immortal Phoenix Rising for that shine, even if it is just a week. I would prefer that. I don't want to see the medium get delayed further because of this.
Yeah, I agree. I would hate to have the medium move into, let's say, January, or potentially, a week or two later, even closer to Christmas, because obviously, the ideal time would have been it releasing with the X is what I originally, I think we all thought that. We all thought that was going to be a launch title, and it turned out not to be. And, okay, you're disappointed, launch window, whatever. But I agree with you. My concern, it immediately aligns with yours. Like, let's say, for instance, they pick December 10th because they think they can hit it, but they miss it. that means that if for instance the medium is delayed and like, listen, we got to get the hell out of the way of this juggernaut, we're going to do it 2 weeks later, and then somehow or another they pick that same date. You said the cat and mouse thing. It would be a shame for Bloober Team. What I'm hoping is going to happen is maybe, and again, we don't know because we're not developers and we're certainly not in the marketing team for either CD Projekt Red or Bloober, but maybe they needed an extra week or two, and Cyberpunk was sitting there as the big behemoth and like, yeah, we can't do this. So let's go December 10th after Phoenix Rising. It's a big new Ubisoft IP. We're a new IP. Usually December is the downtime. I would love to hear, and maybe we'll hear this today. Maybe we'll hear this by the end of the week that they've moved it up. That would be monster.
It definitely would.
Yeah, absolutely. Sean D, let's get you into this conversation. Obviously, as we close in on 600 people, which first of all, let me just say this, Sean D, before I get to get to your opinion. 600 people in a show that had a multitude of issues, which I want to thank you so much for coming back. I mean, most people would just been like, you know what, I've had it. Boom, kind of just lost me. And I'm gone. And I want to thank you so much for not only sticking with us, but supporting this channel, because obviously, when I've been writing this show for over a week and I was crushed. You must have heard it in my voice. I was ready to start throwing headphones and having a big old tantrum, but thankfully, the network engineer on duty, which is Zemi Games, we figured it out thanks to his genius. And if you're like me and you're in the Neanderthal and you need help, go to his channel for his self-help tips because he figured it out. So, Zemi, once again, thank you for that. But Sean D, for you, where does this delay rank? Is it just, are you devastated? Are you okay with it? Are you kind of like lukewarm about it? Does this open up the door for you to enjoy maybe another open world game?
Oh boy. A lot of emotions hit me. First, I didn't believe it. Then I felt a gut punch. Then I just went into I got to totally reconfigure how I plan on playing these games now. Meanwhile, I got a chat on my phone that's blowing up nonstop from my friends.
I think a video is incoming from your channel, by the way.
Yeah, that's probably like, to me, that's like the best news out of this. I got a video now to do. Yeah, no, I'm not happy about it at all. And I wasn't going to be. I probably feel like my friends in my chat right now, how they're like super upset about it, and they're like, we're done with the game. This game's never coming out and everything, until I read their like press release on it. And I just want to kind of give everybody like a frame of like where they're coming from. So first thing, of course, they said was that they're sorry, right? Then they went on to explain that they are testing this game on 9 different versions, including Xbox One X, Xbox Series S X, PS4 Pro, PS5,
Slim,
PC, Stadia. So once I heard that, I kind of went like, oh, okay. I kind of see. I see what's happening. This is a lot to take on due to the fact that this game extended so long that they're now trying to add it to the newer consoles. The other thing they talked about was, because a lot of us are saying, isn't this game gone gold? Like, how can they, what do they need to delay when they've already gone gold? And what they explain what gold is. Gold means that the game is ready, can be completed, and has all its content in it. But it doesn't mean we stop working on it and raising the quality bar. So basically what they're going in and doing is they're doing their final fixes. They're seeing things they can tweak and up and improve upon. They also mainly set this time aside to be able to test those 9 different configurations. So that's the main reason why it's pushed back only 3 weeks. I'm still not happy about it because that's my game. Like every time I have like one game where it's like, that's like my main focal point. It's the one I focus on. The game before this was Anthem, and we saw how that turned out. So I am still hopeful for Anthem 2.0. So this is just like a big bummer to me personally, but at the same time, I trust CD Projekt Red. So it's not that I'm giving them a pass. It's that they've already proven themselves. The only way I don't trust them is that when this game comes out, if it comes out a broken mess, then all trust is gone, right? because
Yeah.
the game's been delayed nonstop. So because they're delaying it so much, they kind of have to perform. But if they do perform, my trust in them just becomes more and more solid. Just how we feel about PlayStation's first party, right? We kind of have this trust with PlayStation first party that they are going to produce high quality games. Xbox still has that issue because we have still yet to see like high quality games on a regular basis. That's why people are still very like teeter totter when it comes to them. But CD Projekt Red, I do have that trust. So I trust that if they need this time, then they need this time, and that I will get a finished product at the end of the day.
Yeah, you know, I look there. There are a couple of developers that when they release a game, it is usually on point gold. But there are several in the development community like CD Projekt Red who is not afraid to delay a game. Sure, they you know, they're disappointed just as much as us. You know, Rockstar. How long does a GTA game take? Well, if according to my math, and I'm no mathematician, by the time GTA 6 is going to come out, it's going to be a decade. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, you're going to get a quality game. You know, plenty of the Sony titles that have been delayed. The Last of Us 2. You know, Naughty Dog, notorious for their delays, but again, we tip our caps to them. Now, look, I know some people talking about, well, now the Last of Us Game of the Year guaranteed. First of all, if that happens, I'm going to throw up live on camera because I think that the Last of Us, I loved everything but the story. That game does not deserve Game of the Year at all. The title that deserves Game of the Year is, of course, one of the best open world samurai games in the history of samurai games to come out. And you know, Ghost of Tsushima is my personal Game of the Year right now. Now, could that change? Sure. Is it going to? Probably not. But they're a team that delays their stuff quite often. But when the games come out, they are pretty much flawless. So again, I'm sure a lot of people are disappointed. And again, for me, it's a sigh of relief, because I'm going to get a chance to now enjoy some of the other games. And I said, there's still 3 big ones. You got Spider-Man Miles Morales, which I can't wait to get my hands on. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which if you know me about Assassin's Creed, folks, I put 40 plus days, not hours, 40 days into Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I've done everything. I'm missing, I think, maybe 2 achievements. And that is it. I love that game, and I have a feeling I'm going to love Valhalla. And of course, I don't know how many people enjoy the Watch Dogs franchise. Watch Dogs 1, okay, was a bit of a hard. The main character was a little douchey at times, right? But if you played Watch Dogs 2, their main protagonist was incredible. That cast of NPCs was phenomenal. I got statues of them right above my head. Loved that game. Got every achievement in that game. So I'm looking forward to Watch Dogs Legion. I think it's going to be good. But this, again, we're going to have to figure out, because you know, there's only so much time in a day you can play these games. But I want to move on to the next big topic. And this one, again, we're shooting from the hip, folks, because everything went crazy today. And we have crossed 700 people here, which is laughable. I'm laughing because I cannot believe after the cluster that started this show, we have this many people. But I have to catch up on some of the super chats, and thanks to Zemi Games once again, I can easily read them. First of all, the first one of the day comes to a very good friend of ours. J1405 drops an outstanding $5 super chat all the way from the other side of the pond, and he says, just a shout out to all my friends in the panel and chat. Only 2 weeks to go, guys. Yes, indeed, 2 weeks to go. Eagles fan 76, another generous friend of the show, drops an outstanding $5 super chat. Says, Boom, just wanted to say I support you, brother. I know how hard you feel about having audio problems. No worries. Love your show. 2 weeks away. Let's go. Well, thank you so much for the support, dude. Foreign Object, another friend of the show. He drops an outstanding $5 super chat. Says, love CD Projekt Red, but repeated delays are a bad look. And he says this, adopt the we'll ship it when it's done mentality and don't announce it until it's in stone. That's actually not a bad not a bad call there, dude. And JD Gamer, a very generous friend of the show, he drops an outstanding $5 super chat. Says, I just wanted to play Cyberpunk, but my feelings is to always delay a game if it needs time to be polished, and medium should be brought forward or delayed. Man, I'm hoping for your first comment. I want to see this game brought closer. That would be awesome if it took the 19th and because obviously the behemoth was there, it's no longer there. Now we can cross the bridge. The troll is gone. So I'd love to see that happen. JD Gamer okay, we have Mr. For Real drops a very generous $10 super chat. Says, wonderful show as always. A shout out to Phil Spencer, who listens to your show about the backwards compatibility. My Gauntlet Dark Legacy would sure look great. Oh, dude, me and Mrs. Boom played Gauntlet Dark Legacy. We beat it about a dozen times. That's her genre. The only time that she's picking up a controller is to play Tetris, to play some sort of a puzzle game, or like Diablo 3, or back in the days, Champions of Norath from the PlayStation 2. Mrs. Boom, an expert at both of those games. He says, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Yeah, I'd love to see that come back, because Mrs. Boom would actually play that also. JD Gamer drops a very generous, additional, outstanding $10 super chat and says, I think we as an Xbox community have to stop saying Xbox didn't deliver great games at Gen, because they did. Ori, Forza, Cuphead, Quantum Break were all great, and we need to remember that. Listen, I loved playing on my Xbox this entire generation, and you'll never hear me say one thing differently. But you know what? Let's move on to a topic that we're shooting from the hip, and I kind of want to bring it up because now it's starting to come out with different games. You know, one of the biggest takeaways from the start of not this new generation, but the old generation that we're currently in, was, you know, the 1080p versus 900p scenario, right? 1080p makes you a better gamer according to Sony. And, you know, we had Digital Foundry, you know, counting blades of grass. Now, we understand that the PlayStation 4 was slightly powerful. We understand the mishandling and the mismarketing and the mismessaging that Microsoft did, and you know, with the Xbox One. Water under the bridge. But with the confirmation that the Series X is not just slightly, folks. It is significantly more powerful than the PlayStation 5. It's also significantly smaller than the PlayStation 5. Okay? We're starting to hear rumblings from the development community about there being a disparity in what's going to play at 4K, what's going to run at 60 frames, what's going to run at 120 frames, or unfortunately in Sony's camp, what you're going to have to decide on where you want to play. So I want to bring up the first piece of evidence, if you will. And Capcom has released exactly what Xbox Series X players are going to be able to do in the Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition on the Series X. And as you can see on the screen, as I bring that up for everyone, the 700 people that are here, it says, we're excited to bring Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition to Xbox Series X/S with high frame rates up to 120 frames per second, enhanced 3D audio, reduced loading times, and legendary Dark Knight difficulty, turbo mode, and playable Virgil on both consoles. Fans playing DMC 5 Special Edition on the Xbox Series X will also experience the game in 4K resolution and also have DirectX ray tracing. Now, DirectX, we know, is not available on, of course, the PlayStation 5. It says both consoles deliver amazing next generation speed and performance, and while we are just now scratching the surface of what they can do for our teams, are eager to continue exploring the full capabilities of the Xbox Series X and S in the future. While ray tracing will be available as a downloadable title update on the Series X, Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition will not support ray tracing on the Series S. And that's fine. I mean, obviously, it's a smaller console, but this is where we start to get into where third-party games, especially the new ones, there may be a very big disparity between the PlayStation 5 and the Series X. And I bring up Assassin's Creed to another piece of evidence here. And of course, this is directly from, of course, Ubisoft, and we know that the Series X and S are going to are be able to run Assassin's Creed Valhalla at a locked 4K resolution at 60 frames per second, where unfortunately we may see a Spider-Man Miles Morales situation with their version, where you might be able to play it at 60 but have to play it at a lesser resolution, or play it at 4K, and of course then the frames are going to drop. I don't know if this is going to become a running scenario, but I do definitely want to bring the panel in on the conversation. And Zemi, I'll start with you first. Now, look, no one is saying that games on the PlayStation 5 are going to be shite. No one's even suggesting that. I think that the first-party games are going to look and run absolutely amazing because their first-party studios know exactly what they're doing. And we know that traditionally, regardless of what brand, your first party knows your console in and out. So they're going to take advantage in ways that maybe a third party developer might not be able to have the advantages. But we're starting to see that there's going to be a difference. And what I'm looking forward to is to know exactly how much of that difference is. For you, is the Xbox Series X going to be the place where you play your third-party games, even if you get a PlayStation 5?
Yeah, I mean, it is, and it has nothing to do with power at all, right? Because, even this generation, this whole generation that we've been playing in, I've played on the original Xbox One console. I never got the S, I never got the X, right? I just played on the original Xbox One console. It's where I played pretty much all of the third party games, and everything, right? And it does not really matter to me, like the power of the console. Of course, I want the console to be, a powerhouse, to be able to do things that previous generations were never able to do. But for me, looking into going into this next generation, I will be on my Xbox console more than I'm on any other gaming device. And the reason for that isn't necessarily because Xbox is going to have, the better 4K, more frames, or anything like that. The reason why is because I just personally resonate and appeal more to the Xbox brand than I do the Sony brand. I like unlocking achievements more than trophies. I like the feel of an Xbox controller in my hand more. I like the dashboard, the UI, everything like that on the Xbox brand. I just prefer, right? If I preferred it for Sony, I would be playing on Sony, this upcoming generation, regardless of its I guess lacking capability to keeping up with the Xbox Series X and in resolution and frame rate. That's just me personally. Is PlayStation being, the less powerful console, necessarily a good thing for them? No. Will there definitely be people who are just, all they care about is just power. They just want to have the most powerful system. Will that impact Sony's sales? Sure. How much? I don't really know. Because like I've said in a lot of these shows, there's so many different variables that go into a consumer wanting to buy a console. And for some, power is the number one thing. But for a lot of consumers, power isn't the number one thing. Look at the Nintendo Switch. It is sold tremendously well, better than the Xbox One consoles. And it's a heck of a lot less powerful. And so for me, it's kind of just like a mixed emotions. I personally don't care that the PlayStation is less powerful, because I'm still going to play, as many of the first party games on that system as I personally want to play. And I'm not going to, not play Spider-Man Miles Morales because it's not true 4K at 120 frames per second. But I am going to play all of the third party games and the majority of games on the Xbox console. But I was going to do that originally anyway, because I just like the Xbox brand more. the same exact way that I played it, this generation, everything was pretty much on Xbox, is the same way it's going to be this generation, regardless of power.
Okay, I mean, listen, that makes perfect sense. I mean, obviously, you're an Xbox dude first. Flap, let's get you in on the conversation. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to own all three systems, and I say all three because the Switch Pro is going to be announced, and I believe it's going to be announced much sooner than later, and I believe it's going to come out in March. Again, this is me just speculating. I have no actual proof or connections, but I believe that it's going to launch right alongside Breath of the Wild 2, and I'm calling for March. But for you, okay, right now we only have developers coming out and say, yeah, on the X it's going to run this way, on the PlayStation 5 it's going to run this way, but you're not going to be able to do what you can do on the X. Okay, that's fine. I'm interested to know when the digital foundries bring these consoles home and they start doing the side-by-side and counting grass like they did for the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. For you personally, are you surprised of the power difference?
Yes and no, to be honest. I think I'm probably surprised by the amount of the difference between the two. But funny enough, I think we discussed when you came on my show about the Xbox One launch and how that obviously went horribly wrong. And I think from that moment onwards, all the time Phil Spencer's at the helm, I think he will always have the most powerful console crown, because I think that's one of the takeaways that came out of 2013, to be honest. So I think Microsoft will always strive to have the most powerful console. But a little bit like Zemi, that will be very important to some people. And for me personally, is it important? I'd like to have the very best that I can get. And to be honest, I upgraded my TV earlier this year to an LG OLED that can do 120 frames a second and all of those sort of things, just so I can get the absolute maximum out of these consoles.
Yeah, I did that last year, dude. In anticipation of these new consoles, yes.
Exactly that. So for me personally, yes, I want the absolute best that I can absolutely get. And any third-party titles, I will be playing on the best console, which, by the seams of things, is going to be the Series X. It's going to be very, very fascinating for Digital Foundry to get their hands on these boxes. But I don't really remember this power narrative existing quite like it does now during the 360 and the PS3 era. Mm-hmm. I know there was the cell processor and bits and bobs, but for me, the power narrative really started at the beginning of the sort of PS4 generation, when they were pushing 1080p and the Xbox could only do 900p and things like that. And it was very, it seemed to be the sort of Sony community that were really pushing that narrative and really driving it home how much better the PS4 was over the Xbox One at the time. I mean, they had other ammunition like the Kinect and the price and things like that, but that was just one of the narratives. But I think for Microsoft, it's a good marketing tagline, isn't it? Because, although the average consumer might not actually care that it's the most powerful console on the market and they might not actually get the most out of it, it still sounds pretty cool when you see it on all of the marketing blurb, doesn't it? The world's most powerful console. You feel like you're actually getting something.
It's a great pitch.
It is.
It is a great pitch. 100%. Yeah, mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Exactly. And, that's marketing that, normally comes at a very expensive cost. And, pushing the extra power like they have, that obviously came at a cost. But like I say, that powerful tagline to say we have the world's best or most powerful console in the world, really does play a strong thing. But for me personally, I will be playing all my third-party titles on the Series X because I just love the ecosystem. Like I say, I upgraded my TV for the Series X specifically. So like I say, the PS5 for me will be for their first-party titles only, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean that's how I currently play my games. I have a Switch. I have about 40 games, but potentially a little bit more. I have obviously a PlayStation 4 Pro that I have about 250 something games for it. Of course, I support PlayStation VR as well. Those two particular consoles are exclusively used for their exclusives. Especially with the PlayStation VR, because there's only one VR for the home consoles. But for all of my third-party games, it has always been Xbox because of many reasons. The achievements are more important to me than trophies. My friends list You know, the way I share the media. And even though I admit that the PlayStation 4 way of sharing the media is much better, I still like the ecosystem. I still like the dashboard. So I believe that's going to continue for me personally. You know, Dizzy, I want to get your opinion on this. You know, look, one of the again, this is not a show that it tries to tear down another console to get clicks. I'm equally getting a PlayStation 5. As a matter of fact, I can guarantee you that most of the PlayStation folks that are probably here are not spending the kind of money that I'm spending. And I'm not pulling a King, because, you know, King David, he goes extreme, but I am getting every peripheral. I have 5 games. One of them got delayed. The All-Star Racing one got delayed until December, and that's going to be in PlayStation Plus, which is good. So I canceled my pre-order on that. $70 I don't have to spend. But I have 5 games, and at $75 a game after tax, that's $375, folks, that I'm spending on top of every peripheral, including a second DualSense. So yeah, I'm spending some bucks. And so I'm not dumping on the PlayStation 5, but you know what, we have to talk about and that's power. And the power difference, again, is starting to show. It's starting to wreak its ugly head, depending on if you want to put your head in the ground and forget that it exists, or you want to talk about it. And I want to talk about it. So Dizzy, do you expect that this power narrative that was really the crux of the conversation early on in the PlayStation 4 Xbox One days now re-emerge for the next generation consoles, especially in the conversation when we're talking mainstream media?
Well, I think that really what's going on for Sony and for what they're doing, they're literally taking a page out of Phil Spencer's playbook. When things aren't going your way, change the narrative. You know, Microsoft stopped giving numbers to things. They started talking more about subscription and player base, so on and so forth, getting away from the numbers. And I think that what we're seeing is Sony kind of changing the narrative from power, because they don't have that narrative. You have to go with what's winning. For me as a gamer, I mean, I'm going to continue to play exactly where I'm playing. I've been in the Xbox ecosystem for, you know, since the original Xbox. That's where all my friends are playing. I prefer multiplayer games, the majority of which we play on Xbox. And now with third-party games potentially having this boost, like I play trash games, and I saw the Digital Foundry was talking about games that are getting up-reses for the next, you know, the Series X. Arc. I love how terrible that game is, but I will play it, you know, 24/7 if given the opportunity. I actually turned it on the other day for the first time in months, and my wife said, "What are you doing? It's like a drug." But looking at it, it's
such a time sponge of a game.
It really is. I like deep sinks. Okay, I like the big baths. So I saw everything that they're going to be offering. It offers a lot of it, which is not going to be doable on the PS5 because of how much they're pushing. So we're looking at something which is a much smaller scale game, and we move this over to the third party who are going to be taking advantage because Sony's narrative. Now, there may be things that the PlayStation 5 might do differently and to their advantage, but as far as like the power stock and everything that you're going to see behind it, it's in Xbox's court. You know, you really can't take that away from them.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that when you talk about the dedication to the hardware team and how they wanted, I mean, again, who do you really thank? I mean, do you thank Phil Spencer? Do you thank Matt Booty? Do you thank the hardware team that designed it? Or do you just throw a big thank you to everybody at Redmond? Because if you remember, Phil Spencer during that interview, before we even saw the consoles, he had assured us, and I say us meaning that the gaming community, not just the Xbox community, that not only was the PlayStation 5 not going to outclass them in price, but in power, that they were going to retain that crown. And he's kept up his end of the bargain, and they do have the price, they do have the power. And I say that because, yes, both consoles are $500, but you're getting a lesser powerful console with the PlayStation 5, no doubt about that. And of course, if you are someone that maybe is going to get a PlayStation 5 and you kind of want to dip your toe into the Xbox ecosystem and you don't want to spend $500, you can get a $300 console that's going to do just about everything that the 500 can do, except it's going to be downclocked for sure. Like I said, for me, I'm really interested to see where, not so much the narrative, because I'm not a big narrative kind of guy. I'm more of a factual kind of a dude. Like if you want to give me facts on paper that says game A runs this way here, but on the same game on system B doesn't run as good, that's it. There's no trying to the pussyfoot around it, if you will. Pardon my French. It's just, it is what it is. I want to bring Sean D into the conversation. Sean D, listen, we know that like myself, you prefer Xbox first, and there's nothing wrong with that. Everyone's entitled to their preference. Even though I support all 3 consoles, if I had a choice, it's always going to be Xbox 10 out of 10 times. It's not even going to be a question. The only time I'm going to play on the PlayStation is for an exclusive, and the same thing for Nintendo. For you, do you think that this is just the start of many big games being compared 1-to-1 when running on one to the other?
It is, but it's not going to play out like it did last generation. So we kind of get in the habit of, I guess PlayStation kind of sets the goalpost and Xbox tends to be the one that goes chasing after it. And the only thing that annoys me about that is it's like us as fans and Xbox as company and so forth for PlayStation, we kind of like, hey, see, we got the more powerful console. And it's almost like we want validation we want people to all we want is people to go from the other side and be like, yeah, y'all do got the stronger system. And then I'm pretty sure like the whole narrative would drop, but that's never going to happen, because what will happen was people will just say, oh, well, that doesn't matter anymore because you don't have X, Y, and Z, because the goalposts will always change. So I'm glad we got the power. So I'm glad of what happened because of what happened with PlayStation doing the whole 1080p. So I'm glad we have more power. But at the same time, I don't care about the narrative, because don't try to like get validation for something that from people who don't plan on giving it to you. It's just not going to happen. So let's not chase it. Yes, we have as far as being, if you're an Xbox guy, yes, you now have the strongest system. Great. That's great. If you got the TV for it, that's even better. Be happy about it. But let's not really like focus too much on the whole, this game can play 4K 60, whereas on their side, this game can play 4K 30, and then it can play 1440p 60. Let's not care about that, because honestly, the narrative is going to change soon anyway because of machine learning. And it's going to get to a point where you're going to actually not want your games to run at true native 4K, because machine learning is going to get so good that you'll never know if a game is true 4K or if it's up-res. Yeah, and that's kind of the whole point, because that's where we actually want to get, because when you can fake it, you can allot those sources in other areas to actually improve the game. So when it comes down to it, am I glad that I get to play my game at 4K 60 right now? Yep. But do I really care that we are that the Xbox brand is stronger as far as consoles than the PlayStation? Not really. I really don't care, because even if PlayStation was stronger, I'd still be buying an Xbox first, because that's just my ecosystem. That's just where I lay my head at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, listen. Again, everyone has preferences. Listen. It's like a sports team. People don't want to equate sports to gaming. But if you live in a 2-city team, right? Like for instance, I live in New York. People say, well, Jets or Giants. Well, for me, it's neither. I'm a Steeler fan. I have been since the 70s, since my father sat me on his knee and I watched Terry Bradshaw and those guys win Super Bowl after Super Bowl. I was a kid, but I loved it for some reason. I just never jived with the Giants and the Jets. It was always the Steelers, still is. I'm a diehard Steeler fan still. Of course, we're the only undefeated team. P.S. By the way, 6-0. But getting back to gaming, let's bring in Rosie Brown because he's going to end this particular topic, but he's going to start the next one because actually having him on the show is why I wrote an original topic regarding what I think Microsoft is going to announce on the 9th. I think it's going to be pretty big. But Rosie, for you personally, is the power issue going to become a talking point? Because listen, for me personally, I like Zemi games. If a game came out on dual systems, I played it on the Xbox, even if it looked worse, if you will, on the Xbox One X as opposed to the PlayStation 4, because that's the ecosystem I like to play. But the reason why I brought it into the conversation today, and the reason why it was even a conversation, wasn't because of the Zemis, not because of the iDizzies or the Flaps or the Rosie Browns or the Shondies or the MrBooMSticks. We reacted to what the media was saying. The media is the one who brought this into the limelight and kept harping on it. So of course, we talk about it, and now we have confirmation of a power difference that is significant. It's not even just, it's a little bit better. It's a lot better. So my question to you regarding the PlayStation 5's third party versus the Xbox Series X first third party, do you think that this is going to become a conversation once again?
Yeah, definitely. I would say, like history repeats itself, right? So, as many of us said earlier, PS4 with the Xbox One, when that first came out, the narrative was like, Xbox has 720, 900, all these random resolutions, and then PS4 is 1080p. And I think that's what got a lot of people to switch, mainly from. I know a lot of my friends, they switched from like Xbox. We used to be on that to 360 like day in, day out, and then when the PS4 came out, I guess because this narrative, everyone, they switched over, right? But I think we might see the same thing happen again. Now the other way around. Now it's coming a full 360, no pun intended, where everyone's going to be, switching. Majority of people are switching back. I know those same friends. I talked to them, and even before, a couple of months ago, before all the news that we know today, and we were talking about hey, are you getting a PS5 or Xbox this year? And then everyone was saying more they're leaning towards the Xbox now. So. I know for me personally, I like I said, you invest your hard-earned money into different monitors or TVs or sound systems. So for me, I have a nice 4K TV, and definitely if it means that in this case I could do 4K 60 on Valhalla, then I'll definitely be playing that on the Series X. That's for sure. But I think it's gonna be a big difference because especially when it comes down to third party is huge. As we can see, on both sides right now on PS5 and Xbox launch, there's not really too many first party titles at launch. There's a couple launch window, but the companies are really relying on the third party to really deliver. And if it means that NBA or Watch Dogs or Assassins, if it's going to be a big enough difference where it does run and look better on the series systems, I think that's going to be a big narrative. I think a lot of people are going to be comparing that, and like you said, Digital Foundry, if they do comparisons, here is the Series X version of Valhalla or NBA, and then here is the PS5, and if there's actually a clear difference, if there's a big enough difference, I would say Phil Spencer, definitely he took a beating, I think, last gen.
Yeah.
He definitely took a beating. So as someone that's in in contact sports like myself, I do a lot of pro wrestling and stuff, and definitely when and definitely the one thing is with any sport really, when you lose, there's two things you can do. You can either look at it and say what can I do to get better, so I can come out on top next time, or what happened, right? Or you can just give up. And Phil Spencer and those guys, Shadri at Xbox and Greenberg, they're not the type to just give up. They definitely learn. You can see, but everything that they've done so far, they've learned, from basically from getting beat from last gen, right? So and they definitely made a huge step. And the Series X and it being the most powerful console, that's awesome for marketing. It's awesome for me. I prefer in this case I'm more leaning towards power. Xbox has more of the power. So I'm definitely going to be there, especially for, like you said, if it's for third-party games. I mean, why not, right? If you're lucky enough to have both, then yeah, that definitely I would say I would choose the Xbox. But if not, like myself, I'm actually just going with the Xbox early on at launch. But yeah, I think for me it's awesome news. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one that's in that camp where we were just able to get the one console for now. But it's welcome news, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if it's your console of choice, it is definitely welcomed news. You know, what I want to do is I want to transition over to, of course, the next, and this was a major topic. Now, obviously, you know, Rosie Brown is relatively new to the community. Like I said, he reached out to me through DM, said, "Hey, Mr. Boomstick, you know, why don't you? I have a theory. I have a theory on why I think WB Games, that deal is done." And he sent me a video, and I watched it. And I watched it again. Then I watched it a third time. And I said, you know something? Let me see if I can get this kid on. And more importantly, if I can get him on, let's do a topic, because I think that he might be onto something. And look, when Microsoft confirmed the acquisitions of Ninja Theory, Obsidian Entertainment, Playground Games, Undead Labs, Compulsion Games, followed by the announcement of the initiative in 2018, many thought this was a fluke. A shot in the dark, if you will. And I've actually saw many of the mainstream magazines or, you know, editorials actually say that. They said a shot in the dark to create the, you know, to correct the gaping hole in the first party studio department that Microsoft had. Phil Spencer and Microsoft continue to add to this growing list of first party developers with In Exile. And of course, World's Edge, Mojang, Double Fine Productions, and of course, Xbox Global Publishing. And then the unthinkable happened. And as we know, on September 21st of this year, Microsoft announced the acquisition of ZeniMax and Bethesda's game studios for $7.5 billion, bringing the number of first-party game studios for XGS to a total of 23, which is unthinkable. So then we move into what we think is going to happen. Now, we have very good friends of the show, like Randall Thor 19, who has been on this program. I've been on his program. I've worked with him many times. He did a video, I believe it was last week. It might even been a video. He did a video, and he also talked about it on the Xbox 2 podcast with Jez Corden of Windows Central about how he's hearing that there's going to potentially be a big announcement in regards to another studio acquisition. I've been hearing the same thing. Now, I've heard several rumors. I do have a source that will remain unnamed that has never steered me wrong. And I think they're onto something as well. Now, there are a couple of tidbits here. Obviously, the announcement of Bethesda came on the heels of the reserves for the Xbox Series X and S, and we know how that turned out. It literally broke the internet, because there were people that reached out to me privately and through, you know, a multitude of social media, that they were on the fence of getting a Series X, but now this has changed their mind. So we're hearing a couple of things for the 9th. Now, we know that there's going to be a ton of celebrations Microsoft is going to be doing prior to the launch of the Series X and S on the 10th. One of those is something that I'm looking to get more confirmation on, is whether or not that Hellblade trailer that has been done and is primed and ready to go is going to be announced, showing actual gameplay. From what I hear, it's over 2 minutes long, and it's going to show gameplay running on the Series X, which is one of the things that you want to do if you're launching a new console, potentially to get people to come over and buy said new console. But the second, and I think this should be the first main issue or main situation that could happen, is a major publisher announcement. And you know, Rosie Brown, you brought some really good points to the potential of the WB situation, WB Games coming back into the conversation. Now, obviously, we heard about a month ago that WB Games, AT&T, wanted to sell off the gaming division, and that the likes of 2K Games, EA, and Activision were involved. But we also had confirmation that Microsoft was also in that conversation. And then out of nowhere, AT&T pulled back They said, nope, we're going to keep it. We feel that we can make a profit off of it. And it went dead silent. Now, Rosie, you did this video, which I'm going to put into the show notes because I had to redo this. So I'm going to have to redo all the notes once the show goes live. And I'm going to put your video in there so people could take a look at it as well. For you, what was the light bulb moment that made you do the video, and what was the contributing evidence that suggests that this WB deal is already done? Is that Microsoft is just holding their cards close to the vest and is going to drop a full house on November 9th?
Yeah, thank you so much again, Boom, for like I said, for the posting the video, having me on. Yeah, definitely, I would say the light bulb went off when the conversation behind the whole WB purchase, like it just, like I said, it just went radio silent. Like it was just like, oh, okay, it went off the radar. Like it just completely flew out the planet. So, I as well, along with other people, I sort of went out to some other rumors there too. But this one, I happen to remember, there was actually a tweet that I saw on the official the official Xbox Twitter. Like they tweeted something, and I noticed that it wasn't really. I guess it sort of flew under the radar. I follow a lot of Xbox podcasts and content creators, and I was expecting it to really just come up and be brought up, but I noticed it was 1 week went by, nothing. I'm like, oh, maybe next week, nothing came by. And then after a couple of weeks, I was like, what? It's been almost I think from this original tweet, I'm just gonna pull it up here. Yeah, September 23rd. So pretty much about a month and a bit after that the tweet was actually out, there's still nothing really about it. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna dust off my content creator hat here, and I'm gonna pop it on, and I'm gonna actually just share this news, and just to see what exactly what everyone thinks, what this could be. And yeah, but mainly there was a tweet by the Xbox account saying in text, gifs you can hear, and then see you soon, gif. And this was September 23rd of this year. So, like I said, it's about a month ago. And then the GIF itself, it's actually it's Scorpion. It's MK11. I play fighting games, so I know it's MK11. He's doing the get over here to Baraka. So it's almost like it's such a weird tweet, and then nothing came out of it. There was the new MK11 next gen upgrade. New characters, Rambo and Melina and stuff like that. But that was just announced maybe a week or two ago. This is a month ago. And it's so strange that there's no third party, there's no relation, I think, for Xbox to really be promoting such a cryptic tweet for MK11, even if it's just about the next gen upgrade. And so I sort of put two together. I'm like, oh, okay, so there's this tweet, and WB Games actually owns NetherRealm. So they actually work with NetherRealm Studios there. So to me, it's just is this a little bit of a hint that maybe is the WB actually get purchased by Xbox? Because this is such a random tweet, and it went nowhere. There's nothing they followed up with for on their Twitter. They just put it up there, and then it just vanished. It's almost like it was invisible.
Boom, you there? You're muted, man.
I muted myself like a boob. Okay. So here's the thing. Again, this is complete speculation. If we're wrong, well, then so be it. I'm good. A good portion of the stuff that I talk about is not wrong per se. It's my opinion. Do I think I'm wrong on this? No, I don't think I'm wrong on this. I think that not only is Rosie Brown onto something, I think that there is evidence to suggest that this deal might have happened. Look, I'll say this. If you didn't know, before the TikTok deal, which I don't understand, I don't get it. I don't understand the why Microsoft would want to be involved in such a thing. They had ready to invest $40 billion. That's right, folks, 40 with a B to buy TikTok. That fell through. So obviously they have the money. They have $40 billion ready to invest. We did hear Satya Nadella say right after the big purchase that they are not done. and they're looking to buy other studios and publishers. He said that. We know there was a new interview with Phil Spencer that we're going to talk about on Thursday's show, that not only is there a new opinion about the single player games for Microsoft, but that he reiterates it again, that they're going to potentially look to buy more studios/publishers. Now, I know that there's been a tremendous talk of, well, what if Microsoft did buy them? Do they get the rights? Do they have to pay for the rights? Or are they going to get, what's going to be involved? Are they going to get the whole entire DC universe? I can assure you that if they did buy WB Games, and I believe that they did, that all of that's been worked out, that all of the DC characters, the entire DC universe will be available as exclusive characters for the Xbox brand, very similar to how Spider-Man is locked behind the Sony brand. So Zemi, I want to go to you first on this, because I'm interested to hear, we did hear, and again, this is non-video game related, but WB Music got an investment of $230 million by an unnamed source. By unnamed, I guess it's not a donation, but it's
like an unnamed, like investor.
Investor, that's the word I was looking for. Yes, $230 million by an unnamed investor. Is that Microsoft? I don't know, but would it behoove them to potentially, spend a couple of bucks, invest in their music to get this deal done? Maybe that was part of the contract. I don't know. For you personally, do you believe that we're going to get some big announcement on the 9th? And do you believe, more importantly, that it's WB Games?
Well, first off, you actually mentioned something earlier that I was just actually really interested about, like you mentioning how Microsoft was initially interested in purchasing TikTok, but that deal kind of went.
It fell through. $40 billion is what they're ready to invest.
You know why that's so interesting to me is because who a lot of us believe are their main competitors now. Google and Amazon both own social media platforms of their own. Google owns YouTube. Amazon owns Twitch.
Yes.
And, the amount of leverage that they could do to promote their products on social media, especially Microsoft with TikTok, would be amazing. Plus, it's just a very successful platform just to begin with. Why wouldn't you just want to own it? But anyway, back to the actual subject of WB Games acquisition. I don't think it's impossible, but at the same time, I wouldn't go to Vegas to bet on it. AT&T has said that, they're no longer looking to sell Warner Brothers, games division. And there could be a very good chance that they are just misleading, journalists and us, fanboys, for one reason or another. But then again, Harry Potter, which, is a game that is upcoming for them, there's millions of fans around the world. This game looks to be quite possibly the best Harry Potter game, if you don't mind me saying. Two new DC games.
So you're not. So what you're saying is you're not excited about the new Harry Potter game, is what you're saying?
No, I'm very excited about the new Harry Potter game. You know what? Let's just forget this whole topic and let's just move. Let's just talk Harry Potter, right? No, but I could see how AT&T might be interested to just kind of maybe wait it out and see how these franchises do for them, right? Because they have a lot of potential. They have especially that Harry Potter game. You can quote me on that. But then again, there is always a chance that they're misleading because there are deals and they just don't want to violate any contracts or anything like that. And they want to keep everything hush hush. They always want to keep everything hush hush whenever big deals are moving like this. And so it's very well possible. If this did happen, this would be absolutely huge. And, Boom, I think you've said that you've heard it through the grapevine that, this is going to be whatever this acquisition is, it's going to be bigger than Bethesda. And Warner Brothers definitely falls in that, category of bigger than Bethesda because if you got, a majority of the IPs, if not all the IPs, then that means that you would be getting all of DC. You'd be getting my personal favorite, Harry Potter. You'd be getting Legos, Mortal Kombat, and Lord of the Rings. And that's not to add in that maybe potentially you could get some other IPs from maybe HBO that is, owned by, Warner Brothers as well. So maybe you could get exclusive rights to Game of Thrones, to make games for that, or to The Sopranos, or, whatever it is. This is a huge deal because, DC, millions of fans around the world that love DC characters. Harry Potter is the same way. Lego's the same way. Mortal Kombat's the same way. And Lord of the Rings is the same way. These are all absolutely massive franchises that, if you created a really solid game for and then put into Game Pass, I mean, that is a huge potential to increase your subscriber rate to your service. This would by far be, it by far would trump the ZeniMax deal, at least in my opinion. However, I would say it's probably maybe a little bit more likely that, it's probably going to be a different publisher, maybe, Capcom, Square Enix, one of the Japanese, major publishers and developers over there. And the reason I say that is because, Xbox is really pushing in that market, and they're, they can still really increase the number of Japanese inspired games that they have, in their lineup of titles. And so for that, I really think that, acquiring a Japanese company or publisher like that would make more sense. I think that there's a lot of potential theories out there, and I think that there's a lot of good reasons or quote unquote evidence that we could kind of point to one thing or another. But regardless of who they acquire, I think we're all going to be really excited. I think it's going to garner a lot of excitement in the community, and we're going to be talking about it for at least a week until Xbox comes out with their next big thing.
That's true. And we have, look, I'll say this. We have heard, and I say I can't say for everyone on the panel. I know that I have heard the number that Microsoft is looking to stop at is 30 first-party developers. And that is to make sure that they have content literally pouring out of every faucet possible to fill Game Pass and to make you as a gamer say, this is where I want to play. I need to invest. Even if it's not your main console, they still want your money. They still want you to invest in the platform. And of course, they're doing it. They're doing a multitude of ways, through buying the console outright. Of course, using Xbox All Access and paying $35 or $25, or playing on your tablet, potentially playing on your TV with, of course, the stick device. We didn't get a chance to get to that story. We'll probably get to that on Thursday, where it's going to be $100 for a controller and the stick, and you're going to be able to play your games on your TV. They are looking to invest in the future. I think they're going to do that, and the way that they can get people to come over to their service, even if it's not your main place to play. If you're a Sony guy or gal, or Nintendo's your thing, they don't care. They don't care if you're the Xbox is the secondary or thirdary system. They want you in their ecosystem, even if it's part-time. And if they can get you for $15 a month, they're going to do their damnedest to do it. Flap, I want to go to you next on this, because I know that you have covered this on your channel, but I just have to catch up with some of these outstanding super chats. There's been quite a few of them. First of all, Bigfoot Avenue drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, why waste time and effort on the POS, and I'm not going to say what that means, Stadia? Just optimize other platforms and save time. But it's still, Stadia, listen, it's probably going to die, but they made a promise, and they have to develop for that console, unfortunately. JC Carmelo, or is that what it is? Carl Moreau drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, boom, all you need now is a new avatar. Really? You don't like the one I have up there? Okay, maybe I can bring back one of the OG ones. We also have Face 23 BKY. He drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, big graphical difference with a question mark. The games haven't even been tested or compared between PS5 and Series X yet. Dude, listen, I get it. You're a Sony dude, and you know what? Look, it is what it is. power matters. All I have to say is let's revert to what happened back in the days when 1080p made you a better gamer, right? The games on the PlayStation 4 look better than on the Xbox One because of power. The power differential now is much, much different, and it's much better, and it favors Xbox. Don't get mad at me. Don't get mad at Xbox. Don't get mad at the community. You should get mad at Jim Ryan. You should get mad at the dev team that somehow dropped the ball when designing the PlayStation 5. It should have been as strong, potentially even more powerful than X. Unfortunately, it's not. And that's something that I think PlayStation gamers are just going to have to get used to until, of course, the PlayStation 5 Pro comes out next year. And then we'll see. We have JD Gamer, who drops a very generous $5 super chat, says, Sean D, game entertainment is exactly right. All of these narrative changes favor Sony, so Xbox ignore them and lead with a capital LEAD. Create your own narratives. Indeed, I believe that's what Phil Spencer is doing. Philly Eagle, a very generous friend of the show, drops an outstanding $5 super chat, says, reminder to the fanboys, of course, and he's talking to both Xbox and, of course, PlayStation. Gamers have access to every game we want. There are 0 games exclusive to you. Get over it and be nice in the chat. And indeed, please be nice in the chat. Don't be a D-bag. Shandi Game Entertainment drops a very generous $5 super chat. Thank you, of course, for being here, but of course, your generosity. He says, people, under 200 likes, show Boom and this panel some love. Hit the like button. Yeah, folks, listen, we had over 800 people. We're a little less now. We're at 730, 740 now. If you're enjoying the show, man, I mean, listen, I don't get it. I'm going to be honest with you. I listen to a ton of YouTubers, and the first thing I do even before listening to the video, if it's a person that I like a Randall Thor, or let's say Den of Nerds, or Yang Ye, or iJustine, I hit the like button immediately because I like their content, so I'm going to support them. If you are digging this content and you're new, listen, hit the subscribe button. But more importantly, if you don't want to do that, I'm not going to twist your arm. At least hit the like button. We'd love to get as many likes as we get views. That would be ideal. I don't get why people feel like you're giving us something with hitting the like button. Like, oh, I don't want to give it to them. Screw them. I'm very perplexed in this. But again, if you are here and you're enjoying it, come on, man, hit the like button. It would be greatly appreciated. We have Alexander Dark drops a very generous $10 super chat. Says previously Phil said he would like to add a Japanese and Polish teams to XGS consistently. Recently, when asked a similar question, his response changed to E-rated games. New acquisition confirmed. Again, I'm not sure who said it before, but a WB purchase gives those E-rated games for everyone. And of course, you get that with Harry Potter, you get that with the TT Games, Lego titles. So yeah, that would be a big get for them. We have JD Gamer not dropping 1 but 2 outstanding $5 super chats. He says, I don't think it's WB based on the fact that Traveler Tales is part of it, and if you already own it, why would you talk about E-rated games like Phil has? Again, it's very interesting. Okay. I missed Pixelbit G above mine. It says here, sorry about that, Pixelbit G. He drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, 28th AMD reveals full RDNA specs should be good. And JD Gamer dropped again an additional $5 super chat. What if bigger means multiple studios and publishers announced at the same time? Techland, People Can Fly, Upsobo, Bloober Team, Delilah Studios, and Capcom. They could pull a 2018 and just announce like, hey, these 5 studios have joined XGS, and those are the 5 studios. That would be kind of dope. But Flat, let's get your opinion on this. Look, there are more signs than a highway right now. Right, we understand for an absolute fact that Microsoft lost out on TikTok. They had $40 billion ready to invest. Then They announced a $7.5 billion acquisition of Bethesda. Now, I'm not saying that wasn't happening at the same time. Potentially, it could have been. But it frees up all of that money. Satya Nadella, during an interview with CNET, clearly says that we are not done. We want to go out and buy other publishers and studios to add to the entertainment that we provide. We understand that Game Pass is at the forefront for Microsoft, not the console sales, not the power. Game Pass. Do you think that this WB Games thing is a thing, or potentially could it be something else?
Yeah, good question. I mean, the TikTok cash that they didn't actually spend, it just goes to show you how much clout and cash in the bank Microsoft actually have to be able to spend. Does that automatically mean that because they haven't spent that, they're going to push that towards, acquiring and investing in game studios? Possibly not, to be honest, but it does show that they do have that level of cash that they can if they want to. I watched Rose's video, and it's a very good video. I suggest everyone who hasn't seen it, go and watch that video, because you do put together some very compelling arguments, and ones that I can't really disagree with, to be honest. I think the trouble with the ZeniMax buyout is that we're just all left spinning on our heels. It's almost like anything is possible at this moment in time. And, we keep seeing patterns everywhere, because, there was that whole thing around the blue, white and black controller. It's like, well, does that mean it's Sega? And a Sega employee with their arms crossed? And,
they go with the in front of the box, and you had then you had the 2 drinks with Sonic chilling on with the green drinks. It's exactly. Yeah, you're right, dude. You're right.
And then we've got Ubisoft. Valhalla's obviously the marketing rights there, and we've had Siege come into Game Pass and stuff, and everyone's sort of thinking, well, is it Ubisoft? And and then the Valve thing, the secret code in New Zealand, and Gabe Newell moving out there, and Jeff Keighley being on the call with Gabe Newell and Phil Spencer. We just don't know where to point next, to be honest. I think Warner Brothers is as much on the table as any of the others that have been announced. Why would Microsoft want Warner Brothers? Well, it's obviously got a great suite of IP, hasn't it? One thing that they are kind of missing is the sort of superhero genre, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
And they're obviously competing against PlayStation with that. PlayStation have obviously Spider-Man and the Marvel universe kind of tied up like that. So to go and nab DC would be an absolute win. And to be honest, let's face it, Microsoft aren't going out to buy these studios and acquisitions for us, me and you, because we've already got an Xbox and a Game Pass. so we're just going to benefit from this. They're looking at, right, what's going to bring people into the service, and where are the gaps or the chinks in our armor at the moment? And I'd have to say that, perhaps the superhero genre sphere is one of the things that they're possibly missing, because I know it's a massive thing. I mean, I was obviously raised and born in the UK, and superheroes and comics and stuff aren't so huge over here. But when I listen to you guys talk about it, I absolutely love the passion and the enthusiasm that you guys have for this, because I'm just kind of missing that, but only because I was never actually brought up with it. But it's obviously such an enormous market that Microsoft can go for.
Yeah.
But also, I think the E-rated games thing that Phil put out was a very interesting sort of statement as well, because I know he's a big Animal Crossing fan, and I'm thinking, well, if they can go for the E-rated games, this a double-edged sword actually. If they can go for E-rated games, that might actually start stealing a little bit of Nintendo's market away from them. If they can put out compelling games that that Nintendo are currently kind of putting out and cornering the market with, then they might fancy their chances elbowing their way into that a little bit. They've got some IPs they can revive. They've got Banjo-Kazooie and Viva Pinata and things like that. I think they might go and buy a Microsoft type studio like Roblox, where it's a service that will exist on all platforms concurrently, and sort of make some money out of that. But also, like you've said, if they do go and buy the Warner Brothers games, there's plenty of E-rated games in there.
Yeah.
And the clever thing for Microsoft is E-rated games players, when they're young, don't stay E-rated games players. They grow up. So, if you can get those youngsters into the ecosystem and buy their loyalty early on, then you've got people for a long time, as long as you don't mess up. So it's a very, very clever strategy that Microsoft are doing. And I've got to be honest, I think Warner Brothers does tick a hell of a lot of those boxes, if I'm honest.
Well, I mean, again, this is again completely speculative conversation that we're having. But when you talk about the youngsters, a lot of the younger kids, they're not gaming on traditional consoles. What are they playing? They're playing on the Switch. There's a reason why the Switch is selling like hotcakes, because these kids, these younger generation, grew up using their mother and father's phones, their iPhones, their Androids, and their tablets. That's how they game. That's how they will continue to game. Out of the three companies, and I'm putting Nintendo on blast here too. Yes, the Switch is great. The Switch Lite is fantastic. No one's taken away anything Nintendo has done. But when you look at what Microsoft is doing with xCloud and allowing your games to be played across any device, that means tablets, that means PC, that means the consoles, that means your phone. They're giving you the ability for these kids to use an item, to use a device that they're used to using. And again, who has an Xbox? Probably their dads, their moms. And they're going to be able to take advantage of it through getting Xbox Game Pass. It just seems like if WB was that brand, like you said, it does tick a lot of those boxes, especially when you just heard Phil Spencer say, yeah, we kind of want E for everyone, because they're again, you said it, Flap. We already have Game Pass. We already have the Xbox. We're already invested in the ecosystem. They are not looking past us, but they are looking behind us and on the side of us to the other people that maybe don't have an Xbox. Maybe they haven't played on the Xbox platform. And now by getting Game Pass, giving all of these games, EA Play in there. I mean, right now there's over 250 games available. And I know I'm downclocking it, but there's a lot of games available. And there is a wide range of genres that could appeal. And if you can figure a way to get Harry Potter in there, I mean, Harry Potter, come on. Right, there you go. If you can figure a way to get TT Games and the Lego games, which may have slowed down in the last couple of releases, but still very popular nonetheless, it would be a big get for sure.
Something else that they could do is actually have, that you could have more than one Game Pass subscription for a lower price. So for parents that do have two children or whatever for their account, if you could get two Game Pass services for a reduced rate, or even a family bundle of Game Pass that gives you, I don't know, and 4 accounts.
If I'm not mistaken, they have done like the family bundle like in the past, like during the 360 generation.
That was with Gold, wasn't it?
Yes, with Xbox Live Gold, they did do like the family bundle thing. I think they pushed it pretty hard during the 360 generation, but it kind of looks like it just kind of fell out of use this generation for one reason or another. Just my perspective of it.
If they could dust that off for Game Pass, because like you say, parents with children and stuff, if you could pay one fee, one monthly subscription and get all of this service for your kids, your kids are never going to come tugging on your coattail saying, Dad, can I have a new game? Because there's hundreds and hundreds to choose from. I just think it's an absolutely fantastic service, particularly for parents with kids.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So let's bring iDizzy into the conversation. Look, because you are so vital to lordsofgaming.net, you are obviously constantly chasing the rumor mill because, you guys run an incredible website and you want to have the information to your readers. That's something that's one of the big responsibilities that you have. I know that you have heard, we lost iDizzy for a second. Oh boy. Okay. So you know what? We'll come back to iDizzy. Is he here? Oh no, there he is. He's wait, as he reconnects, I'm not sure if there's an issue with him. Let's go to Shandi. Shandi, look, the video that Rosie Brown put out was phenomenal. And it brings up a lot of great points. We have heard, and again, I have heard numerous thoughts and theories from a source that, of course, will remain unnamed, that a big publisher announcement is coming, and it's coming as soon as the 9th. Do you think there is enough here that WB Games is that publisher?
I feel like Xbox gave us all PTSD. Because, when they bought ZeniMax, it created this shell shock, and now we're all we look at any just like Flat was saying, we look at any kind of like, are we seeing like a message here? Oh, they're buying this, and we look over here and we're like, oh, they could be buying like they. And the reason we do that is because they can literally buy everybody. Like, they have enough money to buy everyone. Could they buy WB? WB, like you guys were saying, it does check off a lot of boxes. I know Rand did a video on it, and he was talking about the whole the e-games, right?
Mhm.
And he was saying that Lego would be a great grab for them. So I did a little checking on it, and WB still owes like $152 billion.
They do, yes.
AT&T owes $152 billion. So the chances of them still selling are pretty high. I think they kind of pulled it back when they did their show where they showed off the new Suicide Squad game, Gotham Knights, and the show received such a good a good buzz for the movies and for the games that it almost seemed like they were like, oh wait, hold on a minute, we might make some money off this. Let's pull this back. And after that happened, that's when I kind of stopped seeing like about them really forcefully pushing a sell. But I still believe a sale is on the table. But in the thing that I just read, they said that they removed, if they do sell, they removed Mortal Kombat as being one of the things that will be included in the sale. So in the sale, the only thing you would get is the actual development teams. None of the games will go with it. They will do a premium, like offer the licenses to you first. But I don't think Xbox or Microsoft really are interested in that type of deal.
Right, they want to own it outright, and for good reason. So yes, I was unaware of those particular details. Now, again, could that change? Could that change? Because if Microsoft said, "Listen, we'll pay you, $12 billion, but we have to get everything, including Mortal Kombat and including the licensed IPs," then are they going to say no? Because Microsoft is probably the only one that could logistically come in and spend that kind of money. I'm not, again, taking nothing away from the other three big ones that were involved, EA, Activision, and 2K. But the truth of the matter is, combined, those three companies combined don't even have a quarter of the money available that Microsoft has.
Right. And then so that kind of leans me to it not being WB. And you and I, we've talked. I've talked about my assumption of thinking about Ubisoft because Ubisoft kind of fits in their box as far as being a privately owned company.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Having multiple studios. They have a really good relationship with them. And those are like the three big checks that Microsoft was looking at for their buys. Then we know that they want a Japanese footprint, and that leans you towards Sega and Capcom. And we know that yes, Capcom has rebound from where they were
in 2016. Yeah.
But that could still be very much so a big time possible get. I just think that WB is just the sale would just be a little too muddy for them, and they just want like a clean, like, hey, everything that's in the cart, I want it all. I don't want to I can lease this out. They don't want to lease. They want it. They came to the dealership to buy. They don't want to lease, basically.
No, and that makes sense. That makes sense. And again, it's going to be interesting to see. I still think something big is happening on the 9th, and I think they're going to once again shell shock the industry. And I think they're going to do it. I think whatever they've done, whatever they're holding close to their vest, whether that's the purchase of Steam, which has been rumored, whether that's the purchase of Capcom, Ubisoft, WB Games, or the entire universe, I don't know. But I know that it's supposed to be bigger and more robust than the Bethesda. And to be honest with you, I honestly cannot believe it's going to be bigger because, quite frankly, the currently it is the biggest deal in gaming history, and I've been gaming for over 40 years. I've never seen anything quite like this. And closing out this amazing show, which of course is a rebound show, of course, because we had a clusterfuck to start off today's original Xbox Factor podcast, and of course thanks to the 800 plus people that came out to not only support this channel, but of course the entire panel for coming back. Dizzy, as I was saying before, brother, you obviously have the responsibility of running the lordsofgaming.net. That's a very big responsibility, and you do an amazing job on doing it. Your writers are incredible, and of course the Iron Lords leading the charge in positive podcasting and being a part of that are tremendous. Chasing leads is something that you guys do, and it's something you do often because you have to be ahead of the curve. For you, are you in the camp that WB is a possibility, or are you leaning towards maybe someone else?
I'm in the camp of someone else, and here's the big reason why. When I look at WB, they don't have a lot of advantages that they get for the purchase, and I think that Shandi actually had a couple of good points about when we're talking about the IPs. Let's kind of break down the IPs, because this isn't something that people look into, and I don't know why. They don't own Lord of the Rings. That's actually controlled by the Tolkien estate.
Yes, that's correct.
And that's,
yes.
That's why we're going to see the show in the upcoming MMO is going to be on Amazon and Amazon services. They don't fully own the Harry Potter series. Anything that comes out has to be the writer actually has to approve it.
Yeah, J.K. Rowling actually is hands on with everything Harry Potter. Yep.
Exactly. The only leverage that they really have at this point would be if they were to bundle something up with WB characters, things that they actually own. The Legos, I don't know too much about what that is. I don't know if this is a licensing deal that TT Games has, or if this is something that Legos has created that is under the WB flag. So that one is kind of like in that gray area. I still haven't figured quite where they fit into all of this. So when I look at it, I don't feel like that any of the studios have a lot to offer. Let's say Mortal Kombat is available. I know that Shandi said that it's not, but let's say it is. You have NetherRealm Studios. That's one IP that will come with you. When we look at all the other studios, as great as they are, what they had done, we can't pretend that people don't leave and go elsewhere. How many former Naughty Dog and Rockstar employees are now working with the initiative?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not hard to think that just because you bought something, it's going to be the same. You can't force the employees to stay there just because they were bought out. I do think that there could be some credence to something like a Capcom or a Sega. I think that Sega probably would be the one that, if you were going to try to upstage Bethesda, that makes the most sense to me. I have some underdogs that I think that make a lot of sense, but probably aren't going to be at that level. Like, I could see NCSoft being a publisher that they could go after. They are well known for all of their multiplayer games. I think Guild Wars 2 is still going strong. That's a South Korean publisher, by the way. And the other one that people really don't think about, which is kind of funny because they have one of the most popular IPs right now, and it's probably because the leader is a kook. But Gearbox Software is actually a publisher. They have one more game that they have to put out for Take-Two, and they don't owe anything to Take-Two after that. They are publishing games for other stuff. Currently, right now, I do believe they have the upper hand against 3D Realms when it comes to the Duke Nukem franchise. And they have had a really great relationship with Xbox. I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that. But of course, it's not at the level of what the Bethesda. I think that if we were looking to upstage the Bethesda, Sega is probably the one that you would go after.
Sega would be a good one. I mean, they have a huge footprint in Japan. They bring a tremendous amount of mascots with them, a huge amount of IP. Their JRPGs are really, really impressive. It would be, look, I don't know what's going to happen. Is it again WB? Is it Capcom? Is it Sega? Is it the bottom line is that it's going to be big.
Just not to cut you off, Boom. I think the last one that I was going to mention, why I don't think it's Ubisoft. I know that Shandi mentioned them. I don't think it's Ubisoft because they've already fought off the Vivendi for trying to aggressively take them over. I think that they really relish in their private ownership. And that's why, and plus they have, with Luna Plus, they have a service coming out. We hear rumors and we hear stuff about Game Pass possibly having something added on, kind of like how this EA deal is going on. So that's why I don't think it's Ubisoft. But I do apologize, Boom.
No, don't be silly. No, there's no reason to apologize, brother. Listen, definitely appreciate your opinion. Well, listen, folks, I don't know what it's going to be. I can tell you that the excitement is growing. I think that the closer we get to the 9th, the closer and more information is probably going to be put out there, whether in the form of an actual confirmation or a rumor. I have my ears to the floor. I certainly have my feelers out there to be able to break such a big story. And hopefully the contact that I do have, and they're quite good, is able to get me some information that I can, either work on into one of the live shows, or at least give me the idea, even if I can't say anything, publicly, at least give me an idea of what's coming, because I think it's going to be big. But folks, I want to thank everybody for coming back out here and really just, dealing with the cluster that we had in regards to the mic issues. Thankfully, that has been rectified. It's been a great show. A microphone fixed, computer fixed. And let's get to the outros and get everyone out of here. We're going to start with Zemi Games. Thanks for of course, he gets a huge debt of gratitude because he literally saved today's show with the few tweaks we were able to do. Zemi Games, about where people can reach out to you and talk to you on social media if they want to, drudge up a conversation just in case they didn't agree or they agreed with something you said. But more importantly, where could people check out your outstanding content, specifically in the tutorial realm, where you could help them the same way you helped me?
yeah. So, guys, I have 2 YouTube channels, one that I still work on and one that I've all but probably abandoned. The first one is called Zemi Games, and by the way, that is the one that I still work on. And I do a bunch of gaming related content, tutorial videos, which as Boom, I guess, can contest. I know a thing or two about how to fix a problem.
You certainly do.
But I also do game reviews and gaming news on that channel as well. And then I also have a second YouTube channel called Zemi Eats. That's the one that I've almost but abandoned. And on that channel, I do food, like food cooking recipe videos and food reviews and that type of stuff. And I'm really wanting to get back into it, but man, time is hard to find. And I also have a Twitter account thing. Yeah, that thing at Zemi Games is where you can find me. I'm telling you right now, this outro is quite possibly going to be the worst one I ever do. But if you guys heard something on today's show that I said that you guys like, or even if you disagreed with, always feel free to send me a DM. My DMs are always open, and I always look forward to interacting with the community, meeting new people, and just hearing different opinions. And I also do have a Twitch channel. You can follow that at Zemi Games as well. And if I'm not mistaken, this Friday at 1 p.m., me and Mr. Boomstick himself will be continuing our Let's Play of Man of Medan, and we're going to be trying to kill everybody. We've been chasing after this achievement. It feels like a month now.
It certainly has.
It's a big 100-point gamer score achievement, and we really both want it. So if you have the free time, drop by, say hi in the chat, and watch us play Man of Medan.
Yes, absolutely. We're going to be doing that Friday, and I'm looking forward to that. And obviously, the new Little Hope is going to be coming out. I believe it might be this week.
It's the 30th.
It is the 30th, which is, of course. 30th. Are you sure it's not the 29th? Because the 29th.
Okay. Xbox lies on like release dates all the time, I've noticed. Remember, tell me why. Do you remember that debacle? Do you remember how upset I was?
Yes.
Anyway, on Xbox, like 2 weeks ago, it said the 30th. It might be the 29th, though.
Well, we'll see if we do get it. If it is the 29th and it turns out to be Thursday or Friday, we're going to figure a way to stream that, because we definitely want to play the new one. I will definitely give up on Man of Medan, and we'll get back to that, because I definitely want to see you yell in fear. Or battle cry in fear.
I don't scream their battle cries.
You battle cry. Okay, well, first of all, thank you so much for being here, brother. Definitely appreciate the help once again. Flap, let's get to you and Green Pass Gaming. It's a channel. that is new. It's only a couple of months old, and it's a channel that if you are a fan of my work, I think you're going to be a fan of theirs. Flap, do me a favor, brother. Tell everyone about where they can reach out to you on social media, but more importantly, subscribe to your outstanding new podcast that is Xbox specific.
Well, firstly, Boom, thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure to be here. I love coming on this show because, as you've said, we've kind of based our show on a kind of a similar vein and a kind of similar respect for the gaming community at large as well. So, yeah, I mean, anyone in the chat, if you want kind of more of this kind of thing, we've obviously got lots of British accents, but we've had BoomStick and Zemi on as well. We go live on Sundays, but yeah, we have Green Pass Gaming. So if you go there on YouTube, we'd love a sub. We'd like a like. Check out our stuff. We're also on Twitter at Green Pass Gaming. You can follow me personally at Flap2. But yeah, Boom, thank you very much. Panel, it's always a delight to meet everyone. Always great to meet new people in the community. I've had an absolute great time. A shame about earlier, but Zemi, well done. You rescued the show. And Boom, I'm so pleased that we managed to carry on regardless because, I love these topics and I didn't want them to go to waste. So, no, thanks for inviting me.
Oh, well, thank you so much for being here. And we'll go to Shandi. Shandi, like I said, you have been really burning up the charts with your YouTube channel, cranking out 3+ videos per week. You have one that I'm sure you're already writing the show notes for regarding Cyberpunk while you were on the show. Hopefully I didn't steal your thunder with that news. Do me a favor, brother. Tell everyone not only where they can reach out to you on social media, which you are relatively active, but check out and subscribe to your outstanding YouTube channel.
Okay. First off, thanks for having me, Boom. I love doing the show with you guys. You guys can reach me at Sean D on both Xbox and Twitter. As far as my channel, it's Sean D Game Entertainment. Today, I will probably be doing that Cyberpunk video where I go a little more in depth as far as to how I feel about it and how we got here. Mm-hmm. As far as that, Zemi, I have a suggestion for you for your Zemi Eats. Do the 3-ingredient challenge.
3-ingredient challenge.
Interesting.
Right.
That is, and that sounds really hard because
so like you just take different things like that are fairly simple but not overly complicated, and you can just look it up. You just pick 3. It's like made of 3 ingredients. So like it'll be like a pizza, but you have to do it on only 3 ingredients. The entire thing. But it's pretty cool. I know it's been trending a lot on YouTube, so that'd be pretty cool to see you do that. Rosie, it was great to meet you, man. Hope to see you again. Dizzy, great to do it with you. And Flap, I think this is our first time too. It was great doing the show with you. See you next time, guys.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for being here, brother, and as always, a pleasure. Dizzy, let's get to you, and let's get you to not only talk about yourself and tell where people can reach out to you on social media, but also tell them a little bit about lordsofgaming.net.
Yeah, once again, thank you for having me on. Of course, anytime I'm available, I'll definitely show up. Of course, you can find me at iDizzy81 on Twitter, Xbox, PlayStation, you name it, just across the board. Except if you need the social security that Nintendo still seems to ask you for in order to find friends. And of course, yes, I do work and operate over at lordsofgaming.net, where we have wonderful writers. Again, I feel like that we have a very conscious group of writers who, when they're putting content together to be read, it's not the regurgitated nonsense that you read over and over and over at different sites or see across social media or anything like that. I think it's well thought out things that are being read. I definitely encourage and invite everyone to check out lordsofgaming.net. Of course, ILP every Sunday. Believe we're going at 10:30 because of the NFL season, so it is a little bit earlier than normal. But I think this Sunday we're going to see an acting up king based on the news that we've been receiving today. So definitely check out that.
And anytime you're going to have a king acting out, it's always going to be a great show because, he puts his extreme persona on display for everyone, and it's always a really fun show. And last and no way least, Rosie Brown, thank you so much for not only appearing on today's show, sticking around during the issues that we had. It's great to be able to hear your side of the story regarding your video. Obviously, as soon as I'm able to upload this to YouTube, I'm going to put it into the show notes so other people can check out your thoughts and theory. Tell everyone about where they can follow you on social media, dude, and also check out your outstanding YouTube channel.
Again, thank you very much, Boom. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity here and this platform. Definitely appreciate it. And yeah, definitely like to thank everyone as well. Zemi, Zemi with the huge rise today with the podcast. Definitely thank you so much, Zemi. And yeah, definitely nice to meet you, Flap and Sean D. And I Dizzy. Definitely, you guys have been great, and it's been a great time. And yeah, so I'm a fairly new channel, I guess, when it comes to like Xbox news there. But I'm not new to the scene. So I actually used to be like an Xbox MVP.
Oh, nice, dude. Very nice.
Yeah, but back in the day of the 360 days, yeah, I was MVP, and then I just sort of just fell out of it. I pursued professional wrestling. So if you guys are big, Batista, I heard, I think Zemi was saying, or was the ID? Somebody was saying Batista earlier, but
it's actually Batista, yeah, with an A.
Yeah, but the Batista is like a little like wrestling. Like some people that don't like Batista, they call him Batista. So, so I definitely see there's some pro wrestling fans here, and yeah, so definitely, on my YouTube channel is MMA_Yakuza. So there, I'm going to be shining some more light, some more Xbox news. There's actually a video that I'm going to be putting together as well. It should be coming out soon. It's actually another thing that's already talked about. I don't think it's really well known. Yeah, I'm not sure. I have to look into it, but it is in regards to the Xbox, the new controllers that are coming out. So there's definitely something, some really exciting news there. I'll be sharing that as well. So definitely keep an eye out for that. And yeah, my Twitter is at Rosie Arts, and Rosie is ROSEY Arts. So I'm always available, pretty much on Twitter, so feel free. You can reach out to me, if you want to talk or anything like that. Definitely, I'll respond to like pretty fast on Twitter there, and as well as on Xbox Live, you can find me at Club 108. So there's actually Club Space 108.
Nice.
Yeah, you can find me on there. I'm definitely down for like for Gears or anything. Pretty much, I play like any game pretty much there. And yeah, and I'm also going to be appearing on another podcast here, Subs Gaming Podcast, on November 18th, I believe. So yeah, feel free, if you guys want to hear some more, definitely, I'm always available. And yeah, it was definitely humbled to have to be on the podcast today. Thank you very much, Will.
My pleasure, brother, and thank you so much. Listen, folks, just want to say real quick that, again, thank you so much for bearing with us and coming back and supporting Double Barrel Gaming. Obviously, I want to close out the show with something that's important to me. One day, it should be important to you, and that's something that my dad taught me, and I think now more than ever, this world needs it. And he used to say, son, treat others how you want to be treated, and also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, and I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone, and we'll see you this Thursday on the new episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast. Take care, everyone, and enjoy gaming.